So I got served today at the pharmacy, and I'm not saying men can't look like this because please go off, kings. But like, I'm not doing damage to masculinity. I think y'all are when you serve me, when you call me a man, right? Like, I'm not a man. Don't consider me for the pool of men. And maybe the people who are like, oh, masculinity's in decline, well, stop thinking I'm doing anything with it. I'm not part of that equation. Count me out.
What is this? I had a hard time concentrating because I'm wondering, are those implants? I don't get it. Or did you grow them on estrogen? I think I gotta watch this again because, man, those are distracting.
I got served today at the pharmacy, and I'm not saying men can't look like this because please go off, kings.
So you do think men can look like you, but you can't identify as a man? How does that work? The million-dollar question is, why can't you just identify as a man then? It's what you are. You are a man. And please tell me why you identify as trans. What exactly is trans about you?
I'm not doing damage to masculinity. I think y'all are when you serve me, when you call me a man, right? Like, I'm not a man. Don't consider me for the pool of men. And maybe the people who are like, oh, masculinity's in decline, well, stop thinking I'm doing anything with it. I'm not part of that equation.
What are you talking about? All people have feminine and masculine features, or traits, and it doesn't matter what you identify as.
I grew this so I wouldn't be perceived as a woman. And I grew these so I wouldn't be perceived as a man. And if that confuses or upsets you, mission complete. But if it doesn't, mission accomplished.
I think I should be the one to tell you. Your gender is not confusing. You're a man. It's obvious to us all. I would say your gender identity, what you claim to be, is not confusing either. It's just stupid. You're stupid for believing that if you don't want people to see you as a man, the only thing you gotta do is to grow breasts. That's the only thing. That's f***ing stupid. Not confusing, but stupid. So, mission accomplished, or nobody's upset with you just because you look like this. Just because you have a horrible sense of style. Who's really the confused one here? Are you the confused one? Because it's okay for you to look like this. It's totally fine that you want boobies. But it doesn't make you any less of a man. Men can be feminine too, you know?
You feel like you just nailed gender? Like you just did it. Today's just gender. Like, look at that. That's my gender today. I got it. Nailed it. Perfect. That's the look.
What does that even mean? To nail gender, oh my god, I can't. Maybe I don't get it because I'm just a binary trans dude. The goal of my transition was to look like the average man. I wanted to look like a normal dude. It's not only my experience, that's the experience of all transsexual men. We want to pass 100% as men. 100%, not 50, not 60, 70. What we actually can achieve is irrelevant. It's not always easy to pass, but what all transsexual men have in common is that we're trying. We're trying so hard to look like men, biological men. We didn't transition to look trans. I love to tell this story. A couple of years ago, I had drinks and I talked to this guy at several parties. It was my friend's friend, and I did not tell him that I was trans. When my friend told him, he didn't believe her. So my friend asked him, why don't you believe me? He responded with, well, Marcus is normal. And that's exactly why I'm here, making videos, talking about this topic, because I do not want people to think that real transsexuals that have always existed are the same as these new trans people with green hair, septum piercings, or in this case, a full-size beard, a bulge, and titties. We are not the same. I loved how that guy thought I was too normal to be trans. Is that a compliment? I'm not sure. Now I know I don't need to call myself trans, I don't need to use this identity label in my everyday life, but it still makes me so frustrated and sad to see how the definition of trans being destroyed. Because actual trans people have nothing to do with it. We don't want to see this happening where people associate trans with child sex changes, men and women's spaces, people being aggressive towards strangers because of misgendering. No one should associate those things with trans because these people are not trans. Oh, and before I forget, misogyny too. We see so much misogyny within the trans community right now. So many trans activists are misogynistic. Listen to this comment a woman wrote under this dude's TikTok. It's really rich. As a biological male, you're talking down to me about my experience as a biological woman. It's giving misogyny, sis. And here's his response.
Hey, congrats! That's your whole turfy ass you just showed on TikTok. No ally uses biological male or biological female. You did this TikTok as a trap, as bait to bullshit debate about shit. You don't care. You don't care. You just think women are being erased because new labels are being used. Not a thing.
Dude, you're cursing at a woman for not believing that you're not a man. And you're calling her slur just because she's a woman. You don't see the misogyny in that. Or let me put it this way. You're cursing at a woman for not obeying you. You, a man. To the ones who don't know, TERF stands for Trans-Exclusionary Radical Feminist. So it describes women who are feminists, but they're transphobic. So many women are being accused of being transphobic, of being TERFs, when it's not the truth. Trans activists love to accuse women of being TERFs in order to shut them up. Well, they try to. And I think calling people names is a sign of not having any arguments. Another sign is to claim, it's not happening. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It's not happening.
You don't care. You just think women are being erased because new labels are being used. Not a thing.
Well, yes, it is. And I love to respond with, if it was happening, would you be against it? Would you be against erasing the definition of woman? You're erasing women or womanhood when changing the definition of woman. If men can be women, then women aren't a thing. Then we just have 2 times men. We have men, and then women who are also men. If biological males are allowed in women's spaces, especially the most vulnerable spaces like locker rooms, you're erasing women's only spaces. Because again, then you have 2 times men's spaces. Where's the women's only spaces? I do not care why this man wants to wear women's clothing or wants breasts. Maybe he's an autogynephile, maybe he has a fetish where he gets turned on by wearing women's clothing or something. I don't care. My problem is how he treats other people out there in the real world, or how he treats women who disagree with him and his gender identity. My problem is the gaslighting. It pisses me off how trans activists like him are lying about what's right in front of us. All of us. Lying about reality and common sense. They try to convince us that it's a problem, and you're a problem if you want to call this person a sir. I can say this in every video I make, it's like the story of the Imperious New Suit. We can all see right through this. No one should hesitate pointing out the truth. And if you in real life ever interact with trans activists like him, I just want to remind you, technically you don't need to know anything about trans discourse, gender ideology, or anything like that. Just use common sense. Let's say a man with a full-size beard and a dress on screams at you for misgendering him, for calling him sir. Stay calm and ask him, wouldn't it be offensive if I assumed you weren't a man just because you are a man wearing a dress? Why does being perceived as a man, which you are, make you so effing angry? Do you see it as an insult? If you are a trans woman, you would feel dysphoric if being called sir. But you would never get aggressive, angry. This gender fluid identity, gender ideology in general, is so intolerant. The people who identify as gender fluid believe that there's only one way to be a man and a woman, and that's why they can't identify as what they are, as their biological sex. I think that's stupid and sexist. So remember, believing in only 2 sexes, believing in reality, in biology, makes you the tolerant person, and not the trans activists who scream at you and claim to be so aggressive. Do not let them gaslight you. If ever interacting with them, just be honest. They have no power over you. Unfortunately, they have a little bit of power when it comes to trans kids and laws and stuff, but you shouldn't let them control you. No matter what they say, do, stick to the truth because that will expose them eventually. Before you go, I just want to thank you for watching this video. If you want to see more content like this, remember to hit subscribe and the notification bell. Follow me on social media, and I cannot wait to see you all in the comments down below. Peace out.